And welcome back. So as you can see here, we're in the process of just stripping our block down and getting it to the level of disassembly to the machine shop. As if you remember, in the previous video, I made a comment after I spoke to the machine shop. They basically told me to turn it into them at the level of assembly that I want to receive it back in. So as you can see, we've got all of our timing guts off of it, obviously timing cover, things of that nature. All the lifters are back out, cams back out, lower oil pan, so on and so forth. So this is kind of this is the state that I want to receive it back in. So I want to receive it back after it's been machined, new cam bearings put in, new crank bearings put in, and basically pistons, basically the rotating assembly as you see it here, along with new cam journal bearings. So that way I know that the crank and the tolerances and the caps and the bearing clearances and all that, and also our piston ring gap is taken care of, done, and looking good. Again, like I said in the previous video, not that we couldn't do all that work, but it would greatly speed this process along, because although we can do this, and we will when we get to doing the other truck, it's going to be a new concept for me to put the rotating assembly in and getting the piston rings gapped. And it's just a lot of things right now that would eat a lot of time up that I can let the machine shop handle while they have it. That way it's done, and we just have to basically build up from here, which we know we can do. We've done it before, and we can do it again. Putting the cam and the lifters and the heads and the oil pan and timing components, all that back on is relatively straightforward to do. So we've got all of our sensors out at this point off the block again. Oops, sorry for the noise. What you see here, just collecting inside the drip pan, are the items that are still good, with the exception of this windage tray. Once you remove those windage trays, you're supposed to replace them and not reuse them. But these are the lifters that we took out, that obviously there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. The factory cam we took out, and the phaser. Now, of these parts you see here, we'll be reusing the oil pump. We'll be reusing the phaser. Now, this is the oil pressure switch, oil temperature switch. I'll more than likely just get new sensors for those. And we told you this is our crank sensor, and that'll be replaced as well with all new OEM sensors while we're here. Now, we'll keep the cam and we'll keep the lifters, and we'll put them someplace safe, because like I said in the previous video, we're going to be going with a slightly upgraded cam in this build, as well as all Hellcat lifters, meaning non-MDS lifters. But we will reuse the phaser, the oil pump, the timing guide, timing tensioner, and timing chain, because all that went on here new. Nothing saying that we can't reuse it. So with that being said, we've got our MDS solenoids you see here at the top. And I wanted to try this to see if this would actually work on camera. I've seen some other individuals do this, and a lot of times these guys kind of get frozen in place just due to years and years and years of heat cycles. And one of the things that I saw that another channel do, he's a Chrysler technician, and there'll be a link to his channel in the description below. And right now it's just it's right on the tip of my tongue, and I'm drawing a blank, but I'll highlight it in the description below. He's a Chrysler technician, and one of the things Chrysler says to do to these is to basically take like now he used a hard plastic mallet. I'm going to try this with a rubber mallet and see if it'll do the same thing, but just to whack them one good time, and that'll get it to break that seal, and then we should be able to get these out without these breaking. Now, again, we're doing an MDS delete, so I'm going to talk to my tuner and see if it's okay, and it should be. That what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the MDS block off plugs, and obviously these sensors won't go back in, and of course the accompanying wiring harness will also not go back in. I just need to make sure that's not going to cause like a check engine light or some kind of error code to show up in the PCM. Now I've heard of others do it, and they haven't made a comment that it caused any kind of a code or anything to surface, but I'll run it past my tuner before I do that, because again, my tuner is one that's going to be supplying us with the upgraded cam and the Hellcat lifters and such for this motor. So without further ado, I'm going to go on the desk over there, get the tripod, get you set up, and we're going to try this trick and we're going to see how well it works. I'll bring you back in a second. Bye. Okay, so I got you in the tripod here, and let's give this a shot. Again, we're going to use a rubber mallet. May not be stiff enough to do this, but we're going to give it a try. Yeah, you can see that one right there. Yeah, I'll see if I can hold the camera a bit steady. Okay, give them all a nice solid whack there. And if these do break, it's no biggie. I can already see that they're actually loose. You know, before we weren't even able to turn them by hand. Oh, look at that. I was able to pull it right out. And interesting enough, look at all that chunky metal on the end of that solenoid. You can actually even see it inside the screen as well. But yeah, that does work. So if you've got these and these solenoids are stuck on you, just give them a nice firm whack with a rubber mallet, and they do break the seal and come right out. I'm just going to put them in the little bit of a drip pan that we got below. Again, simply because I'm not going to reuse those. That'll be just like the VVT solenoid. That will be getting replaced. Let's see if we can get another one of these out here. This one's in the camera view. Yep, looks like I can turn it a little bit. There we go, yep. So it did break the seal. Yeah, try to keep you in the shot there. I'm just rocking this back and forth. See if I can get the pliers on it. Again, if these do break or if I do kink them or whatever, I'm not concerned because we're not going to be reusing them. But you can see I can get that out. It's loose. Still fighting with it a little bit, but it is given. Okay, that one may need a couple more hits. That one's being a little bit temperamental. There we go. And this one's in the same boat, as you can see. All that chunky metal goodness. Screens clogged up in the bottom of that. So there was definitely still plenty of metal in this motor. see, can you see the other two? A little bit. Still kind of in the frame. This one's nice and loose after the additional hits. Oh, there you go, yeah. That one's nice and out. Came out nice and easy. Same condition. Lots and lots of chunky metal. I should say metal shavings from the before cam damage that we attempted to repair. So it just goes to show you that even though you get the cam changed out and the bad lifters changed out and cycle some good oil into the block and through the motor, that there's quite a bit of metal that did not end up in the oil filter of this bad boy. Ended up down in the pan and apparently stuck all over these MDS solenoids. There you go. That one came out nice and easy. And yes, there is all kinds of dirt up here in these valleys. Again, I'm not too concerned with it. It is going to the machine shop to be dipped and thoroughly cleaned, and like I said, we'll have to find out what the fate. I'll just unhook you from the engine stand here. We'll have to find out what the fate is going to be, just so you can get you a nice good look down inside those MDS solenoid wells. That's the one that's got all the dirt on it. So what we're going to have to do is just, again, wait for them to get their hands on it and figure out the fate of, again, because I'm not seeing like any major scoring of the cylinders here. So hopefully either just a hone and possibly being punched out 30,000ths and put in a bigger size piston, maybe just a hone and new piston rings, will bring it back to life, but we shall see. There's always that possibility that they're going to come back and say, no, the block is no good. Hopefully they don't, but if they do, we still have our donor motor to play with. I don't know if you can see what the engine stand does, and all that is just the weight of the block, and you can see how much it's able to flex this engine stand in. I did find a rather nice one on Amazon. I've got it in my wish list. I may order it here in the next couple of days, but it seems to be it's a bit more expensive, but it seems to be a far cry sturdier than this. Like I said, this is getting the job done for now, but it's not something I would trust doing a complete build up to a long block and hoping that this will hold it and not have an issue. Other thing I wanted to show you was, remember, we put this oil pan on new. It was nice and clean, and hopefully you can see that down in there. You can see what looks to be a lot of gravel, and just to show you, watch this. Hopefully you can see that glitter. Yeah, there you go. There's a nice shot of it there. You can see it sparkle. It just feels just like sandpaper or grit with all that metal shaving in it. And just to go to show you that even though we got all the damaged parts out and we did our best to flush it with some nice clean oil, this much residual metal still ended up flushing its way through the various oil passages and ending up down inside the oil pan. And it doesn't surprise me, because that was those cam lobes are pretty beefy, and to have one completely almost ground off the way that old cam was looking, again, all that metal's got to go somewhere. So what we're going to have to do, obviously, on the reassembly, we'll have to thoroughly clean and just rinse this pan out, make sure we've got every speck of this out. And the block itself will be okay. When it comes back from the machine shop from being dipped and cleaned up and sprayed and so on and so forth, it should be nice and squeaky clean and ready for reassembly. But that's it. I rambled on long enough. Just wanted to kind of relay that same trick for getting those solenoids out, and it allows you to get them out without them breaking. Now if they do break, I've seen a lot of individuals just kind of run like a screw down in the center of what's left of the solenoid and use that to pull the remaining guts out. But you know, it looks like just again wrapping them with a nice rubber mallet a couple of swift times will break them free, and you can get them out in one piece. But with that being said, I'll let you go. Make this a nice short one, and I'll bring you back for any for all the future updates. Thank you much. Bye.